Hello, my name is Mary Pugh, and I'm going to share with you some internet safety tips for children. I represent children who are abused and neglected and have witnessed vulnerable children being taken advantage of by predators on the internet. We know that today our children live in a complex world, and we need to do our best to protect them. The objective of this video is to recognize the benefits and risks for children on the internet and to offer some safety tips for children using the internet, to share some ways to keep kids safe, and to make you aware of online dangers that kids face, and so do adults. We know that our children communicate virtually. They communicate through computers, laptops, tablets, iPads, certainly their phones, gaming consoles, even their watches. 95% of teens in 2018 reported to use their smartphone, and 45% said they were on it almost constantly. And here is a little picture of how children use the internet in 2019. We see that most of them use their cell phone, considerable amount use their tablets, and some use the computer in their bedroom. Here is a picture of the number of active users on social media. It is really mind-blowing when we look at the billions and millions of people who communicate through social media. If Facebook were a country, it would be the third largest. Today, the community for children looks very different than what it did years ago. It's not just a physical community, it's a wide world internet community consisting of blogging, YouTube, social media, certainly Google. Our children now watch TV and get their news from their Twitter or social media account. Here is a little snapshot of 1 minute on the internet, and we see how much activity is going on, whether it be Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, Skype, Uber. It's a very, very busy, fast-moving place. So here are some steps to protect your children online. Discuss how to use the internet safely. Let's be honest, this is a big teachable moment for you and your children to sit and talk about ways to be safe and to talk about dangers that are out there. Keep your computer or your devices in a common area so that you can monitor it. Check that your safety software is up to date. This is particularly important for malware so that hackers and scam artists will have a tougher time infiltrating your computer and even your server, perhaps. There are softwares out there that help you filter what your children are doing. Here are some examples on Google search that's called Safe Search for Children. And then there are some apps like Bark app or certain devices that you can get called Circle Home Plus. So the apps will help you monitor the activity that the children are on or adults on their devices. And the hard devices actually connect with phones and servers and all sorts of internet devices to find out uses, monitoring the uses and the chats that the users are participating in. Help your children set up strong passwords. That's really important because a strong password will not only protect your children, but will protect your devices and your servers. And you have very sensitive private information there that you just don't want to share. You want to teach your children how to identify trustworthy sites. They don't want to go on a site certainly that has that red arrow that comes across as this is not a secured site. And they don't want to just surf for the sake of surfing. They want purposeful surfing so that they are looking for specific things, not just out there on the net. You want to track their browsing history, and we do know that they can certainly erase their browsing history, but there are apps that can capture previous deleted browsing histories. And you want to monitor their screen time. We know that during COVID and isolation, where there has been such a reliance on our technology that it's been really, really tough to monitor this screen time. But we all know how important it is for the children and adults to step away, to become mindful, and to reconnect with people face to face. Here are some safety rules to share with children. Basic safety rules. Never share your personal information with anyone. And that is your full name, your address, your school, your phone number. And we'll talk about predators of how they use this information to try to connect with children. You only want to communicate with people you know. And if you have somebody that you know, but they don't sound like themselves, that they should get away from that person, because we do know that online predators and hackers disguise themselves as friends. Never share a photo on a public site or with strangers, and share photos carefully. And we'll talk about photos. Keep all your passwords private. Only share them with your parents or guardians so that they can have access to your devices. Don't ever download information without permission. We know, and we have read about many times where children are downloading information and being charged exorbitant amounts unknowingly, and it is being charged to the parents' account, because ultimately the adults own all these devices and are responsible for them. Share any unusual messages with parents or guardians right away. And this is the law. This is the federal law, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Law. Children under 13 should not have any social media accounts or apps. They should not. Again, we know that they might not be truthful and sign on, but the social media account holder is actually responsible for those on their account. Most importantly, never, ever, ever meet anyone online without approval of your parents or guardians, ever. And it can be somebody that you might think you know, and you may even know that person, but you never have a meeting without approval of your parents or guardians. Here are some common issues kids face on the internet: violence, bullying and cyberbullying, hate speech, predators, frauds and scams, and hacking and privacy invasions. And we talked a little bit about the hacking, privacy invasions, and frauds, and there are so many, and those who are doing it are so creative that I don't think we could go through each one. What we need to do is have a good defense for those, and that's through our malware and through open communication with our users, and that's children, and that's also adults. Predators are online. They seek children online and in person, and it is such a danger to our children because they troll the internet and they try to lure children, and they become very good at it, and that's frightening, and the only way we can combat it is with knowledge and education. They seek children online and in person, and once that child is targeted, they're going to learn about that child. They're going to learn where they go to on the playground. They're going to learn their school. They're going to learn what sports they like. And they might learn it by just the hits or their Facebook or their social media accounts or something that they're sharing with others. It might be a baseball team. It could be a team that they're on or a team that they follow. So once they target and learn about that child, they're going to try to gain trust. They're going to try to find commonality with that child and then empathize with that child, saying, I understand, gosh, it's so frustrating. You have to do your homework and your parents can be tough. And they're going to try to gain the trust of that child. And once they've gained that trust, they're going to lure the child. Luring the child might still be on the internet, or it might be in person, saying, hey, I have something special for you, by giving gifts or saying, you're so special, why don't I give you money to get your nails done? Or you're so pretty, you should really be modeling. I mean, they're going to try in many, many endless ways to gain trust and lure that child. And once they have, they're going to isolate and victimize that child. That victimization can take any form: sexual victimization. It can also be drug use, but it's control of that child. And once they do that, that child is being completely victimized and trafficked. We can call it so many different things, but it is trafficking and luring. The key that all predators use when they go through this process is secrecy. Don't tell anyone. They're never going to understand. No one understands how special you are. Really trying to undermine the trusted adults in their lives. And the more we learn about this, the more we can help our children. So telling them, if you see something uncomfortable, say something. Don't hold it in. And anyone that tells you to keep a secret is dangerous, because why would you keep a secret of something good? If it's supposed to be so special and good, you should be sharing that. And fundamentally, children understand when you talk to them in these terms, but you have to talk to them before the predator does. That is our biggest offense, is education. Here's some YouTubes about bullying, and this is something that is widely experienced by adults and children on the internet, and we can do things to stop it. Sadly, statistics show that so many of our young people are bullied. Of those being bullied, 30% admit to being bullies, and 70% have admitted to seeing bullies. And we know that those who witness bullying are virtually bullied, that they actually experience victimization. We know that when bystanders, somebody intervenes, the bullying stops. So we can do something to stop bullying, whether it be online or whether it be in person. Sad to say, those who are bullied are more likely to commit suicide, and bullying has been a substantial factor in almost all of the school shootings. 2/3 of students who are bullied become bullies as a defense mechanism. When we talk about bullying, bullying takes the form, and it also can be considered a crime. So what are the responses of bullying? The crimes can be harassment, stalking, and cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is bullying online, but bullying online can also be harassment and stalking. And it really comes, the elements of all of these crimes are intent to annoy, harass, or harm a person by communications of threatening language, obscene language, torturous languages, or it can just be the repeated injury to that person by constant repetition of not letting them go. That's stalking, is continuing to communicate negatively with a person. In some states, like Pennsylvania, there's a separate crime for cyberbullying of a child. And that is, when adults do it, it's separated from when a child does it. And it is considered a teachable moment when a child does it, and law enforcement and the judge has the option of diverting that child into an educational program to learn to control the speech so not to hurt someone. All of these crimes have an element of victims' apologies and victim compensation if appropriate. So we say words matter. Words matter whether we say it face to face, and they certainly matter when we type them. I say to my kids that I represent, if you won't say it to their face, you should never type it. And thinking that no one's going to know it was me is foolish. I have been with law enforcement, and so have many of us, where we know that they can find not only the device that was used, the server that was used, and ultimately the identity of the user. Photographs are a problem online. So sexting is when someone takes nude photographs of themselves or others and sends them to another person. So it's impossible to control where these photographs would go and who receives them. If you're sending them to your friends, you don't know if your friends might be sharing them with a stranger. And certainly if you're sending them on a social media platform, they could be open to the world and public. Think about the consequences. Once you send it, you can't get it back. So you might be sending a risky photograph, and you might lose your space on a team. You could be suspended from school. It might have consequences in your future, whether getting jobs or whether applying for post high school. So the consequences are dire, and you will not be able to just retrieve that photograph. It's also against the law. Children under the age of 18 in Pennsylvania are charged with a misdemeanor if they either receive or send a nude photo of themselves or others. So if it even comes to their phone, and they open it, that's a crime. Anyone above 18 who has any photographs of minors is committing child pornography. So again, there are no such thing as cute nude pictures or risky pictures of yourself. Once you take them and share them, you have lost control of them. So you cannot stress enough to your child, never, ever, ever to do that. We know relationships go wrong. If someone is in a relationship and says, I just want a picture of you, can you show me this? That person may not be in your life forever, and that phone certainly won't be in your control. So it's just a never. Never do it, and you'll never have to worry about it. Here are some resources of things that I talked about today. And I think that we all are in this together. We all need to be a team in keeping kids safe on the internet and in our world. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I look forward to talking to you again. Thanks so much.